Welcome to ESW. We're getting started right now. I laughed very much at the boom several times while editing that. Wow, welcome to ESW. We are back live. We're a little later than we wanted to be. I did athletic things tonight, and it makes my body feel bad, but it'll make my body feel good. So life's great. I'm way better off than whatever Dr. Gorse is going through right now. Holy moly. We're going to get into all the juicy details today. We've got Mateo, who has friends in some places, and Karn on the Cob, also known as Damien. We are very excited to be back here live. No idea if anybody's watching, but we're just going to rock and roll tonight and do the best we can. 30 seconds, Mateo. How's it going?
Not too bad. Busy weekend. And, kids. Marissa did the Broad Street run, baseball, soccer, and back to work. And I just spent a day at, the Hand, Foot, and Mouth Center, otherwise known as the Please Touch Museum. So can't wait to get sick.
Oh, this is the best day ever for you. Dames, what about you?
Not too much. Saw Thunderbolts. Star Wars Day at the local brewery, all kinds of fun stuff. Got a Darksaber hilt tattoo, and am currently getting over being sick. So right there with you. I feel like it's just a never-ending cycle, but we're here.
We are so here, and we called an audible. Usually we want to do this recording on Thursday, but we were busy with adulting, so I said, F it, we're going live again Monday. So we prepared a couple assets. We made sure things are ready for the live show. We're going to try to keep this as clean and as short as possible. Boy, howdy, did we have a heck of a trilogy this time around. I wanted to attack it a little differently, so let's get into our HoloNet head. BBY 3. It's a battle before Yavin. Year 3.
Bong, bong.
Yes. And we have the bell once again. So I attacked this a little differently. I was a very grumpy person last Tuesday as I was watching all 3 episodes. And what was it, like a triple 57 this year, this time around, which is 50. It's 7.5 minutes of credit. So that's a good 50 for what it's worth, minus the front. So I guess it's really 48. Maybe 47.
It's a solid, 2.5 hour movie every time.
Yeah. And it's really cool. So I just sequestered myself off of socials because if you don't want to get spoiled, you have to stay off social media. So I went Tuesday, episode 4, Wednesday, episode 5, Thursday, episode 6. I paced myself out, and I found myself enjoying the content a little bit more because I wasn't struggling to get through. Dame, how did you attack it this week?
Yeah, I did the same too. Because I was the only parent in the house for Tuesday, Wednesday. So I did that. Did Tuesday night because obviously I have a 6-year-old and I didn't know what this show is going to be throwing at us and didn't want to have it on while she's awake and here. So I did an episode a night, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then went back and just kind of rewatched some stuff yesterday for Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with everyone. And of course, Revenge of the 5th today. But yeah, I felt like it was a little bit more, not that it's a hard watch, but just when you're asking us at 9:30 or 9 o'clock to start watching these and they're 50-minute episodes, it's a lot to get in one sitting. So I do kind of like breaking it up a little bit better. And I think I enjoy it more that way too.
Great 3 episodes, I think, overall for me. Looking at my little spreadsheet of, I don't have a lot of bottoms, to be honest with you. I struggled actually to find some bottoms, but the things I did find annoyed me really, really awfully. So I can't wait to get into those sad beeps.
Yikes.
Overall, for me, lots of positives. Lots of positives to the show. I've made so many cool little connections and foreshadowings on the second rewatch, which is super interesting. So I can't wait to really talk about that. Otherwise, I think we can kind of get started and we are going to sound the alarm, which is our top moments of the whole thing. Let's get to it.
I love the Ferrix band.
Yeah, you know it. You know it. It's the best. All right, so I have to comment on every intentional cinematography movement that this show is presenting to us, from blurry vision to just building such a wonderful environment and making me believe that I've always thought that this was here at all times. Just from Gorman to Coruscant, like it's totally believable. There is no Jeans guy. I don't believe there's no. There is a little bit of editing snafu that will make the bottom a little bit later. I even screenshotted it. That's how egregious it is. So I have to actually make an image while someone else is talking. But I just love the opening shots. I love the establishing shots. I don't know if you've noticed, but like they're hanging onto scenes like an extra beat to really like hammer home like Wilmon's face and other, like just other. There's so many different examples that I didn't write down, so I don't have any details of that. But it's just a super interesting way of filming. It's super intentional. Like this isn't the volume. This is full set, full production, and it's wonderful. Dames, I throw it to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. When I was looking up like the budget for the show and how expensive it was, like you can see where that money's going. Like the set design is just phenomenal. Gorman was just really fascinating to see, from like the hotel that Andor goes to the building Cyril's working in, and just overall, even back on Coruscant in the hideout, like just everything about the show and the set design is just super fascinating to me and really like just fun to watch and look at.
Totally agree. Mateo?
Yeah, like you said, like they're creating a world and everything is intentional. Like everything is like I thought Gorman looked like not France. I thought it looked like Greece. You got the little bay there, blue water, like real white looking. I'm like, I feel like where the other shows went wrong is where they spent too much money with just the CGI and not creating the world, the sets. And with Andor, they did the complete opposite. It's like, let's not focus on the CGI and let's go with our sets and our worlds, and it's paying off for them.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree. One thing that I'll comment on, again, just it goes across all 3 episodes, is like the culture of Gorman and how believable it is. I know they said that it's obviously like France, you know, it's a French-ish accent. They made Gore, right, the language, and they were speaking Gore like offset and off production just to keep the language alive.
That's cool.
And I thought that was pretty interesting, but behind the scenes. But from like the movements and what's he do? That little motion, that's like the F. Yeah, there you go. That's like the FU.
Instead of this, he goes this.
I believe that's 2 minutes for holding.
Yeah.
But just, it's so believable.
And even the like till then.
The greetings. You know, everything about it, from the bellhop to what an interesting. I mean, Andor as Varian. What is it? Varian Sky was. It's like super. He's so manipulative right now in how he gets his information, and everything about it. Again, you dive into this show, and you believe it. There's not one thing I don't believe. I don't go, that's not believe. There's no way. Everything is so good from the nightlife, you know, to the old lady coming down with her bags, and she's like, "Oh no, you can't be here. Like this is a problem." Super duper in the Gorman front. Grand Moff Massacre. What a scumbag, right? What did he say? 500 people or something like that. Just like I'm just gonna park here. What? It's like the U-Haul truck going. What was it in New Orleans. Yeah, I'm just gonna
yeah.
park here. I'm just gonna run through. And they thought that they were gonna be safe, and no, not for this guy. And that's a terrible tragedy. And
When
like,
I
no
went,
one's-
dude, when I went down to New Orleans in February, I like walked past that like every day.
yeah,
So like it's that, especially like setting that up of like, oh, you feel for these Gormans that see this monument every day and how much this monument means to them.
Yeah.
And we're never gonna have the sun be shaded by any building from it, and then boom, Imperial Armory shading the monument.
and probably intentional.
Yeah.
Just to kind of press them a little bit.
But to your point, like they're making these believable real world situations that like tug at the heartstrings and like make you feel for other things that have happened.
100%. 100%. Third episode. Well, sixth episode. I don't even know how to label these things. The third episode of this trilogy, I rewound it with my VHS, and I was like, wait a second. That's super interesting. So Val, V-A-L?
Vel.
E-E-L?
Vel.
When Vel is speaking, she's like going through the plan, like, hey, this is the plan. She's great. It reminded me, it literally was all Donnie, like all over again. I was like, so that's why they sent her.
Mm-hmm.
And when Vel is speaking, she says, you need to respect the chain of command, while Loser Boy walks past Cinta during prep. And like super foreshadowing, and obviously during, the first watch, you're like, you're not paying attention to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then look what happens. It's probably the worst way to go. A mistake. I can't believe it. Like, I could not believe
Friendly
we
fire.
lost Cinta. Just as we got her back, bang, gone. Rip your heart out. Dear Lord, this show. How'd you feel about the death?
As soon as I heard the blaster go off, I'm like, all right, who did he hit?
Yep.
And then I saw Cinta. Like, no, you can't bring her back just to take her out.
Yeah, way too soon. That's when we get to the bottoms. That's for that specific reason is why it made it on my list there, because we just got her back. And I'm like, okay, cool. She's gonna be around for a little bit, and then boom, her and Vel have their moment, and then gone.
Yeah,
just crazy. I did not think they were gonna do that, but it had to be somebody. And I mean, I would rather have Vel stick around, I guess, but still, it was just crazy to see it happen by like friendly fire too, which is interesting.
Like preventable. Like it's
totally preventable.
Yeah.
This is my dad.
We're the only two that have blasters.
Right.
Here's what annoys me as a dad. You set up these like boundaries because you know what's going to happen. If you run down the steps, you're probably going to fall down the steps. And just as like you're always setting up like these like little mini lessons at Kate, don't hit the ball in the backyard. If you want a dry swing, do that. She comes up, hit the ball over the fence. I told you not to hit the ball over the fence. And you did it anyway. So it's like, don't bring the blaster. We only have, you literally don't need it. You didn't respect the chain of command. You didn't believe in what we were doing. You brought us in, and you got to listen to it. Oh, man, it's like, it's the preventable things that annoy me the most. And this is the ultimate, like, awful way to go. And it's not even glorious.
Yep.
Although that flip over the transport was super glorious.
That's pretty sweet.
It was a pretty nice stunt by Cinta.
But then you do get the for your consideration Vel speech in the transport.
100%. You don't get to cry.
Awesome.
You don't get to cry. You've got to live with this for the rest of your life. Your stupid little child life. I felt like I was talking to a student. I had a kid today who we were doing something with the computers, and he was just supposed to observe, and he ended up intervening, and then the computer wouldn't turn on. This is not death, of course, where I'm like, why did you have to interfere with what I literally was like channeling Vel, like, you did this, and you have to think about why you did. I was like really reaming him. And man, what two very different levels of intensity in that episode between Clea trying to remove the listening device. Do we think the blood dropped? To Vel, like, just ripping him a new butthole. And you child, you do not get to cry. What did you say? She was a warrior. Like, you don't understand what you just did. You'll never be like 1/10 of her or whatever it is. Like,
she was a miracle. Said that too.
Goodness gracious. What a very raw scene. Everything about the writing is so good. Who's the writer? Bo something, right? Bo something. I forget.
Oh, something.
But he did a stand-up job, as they would say. A nice little foreshadowing in episode 5, speaking of Cinta dying, is like Andor going, people die rushing. You know, he called it. Like, he didn't really want to get involved, and I think that's a whole different can of worms with Andor trying to overprotect Bix and stuff like that. I think he's compromised right now, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And parallel, Dedra is compromised with Cyril. There's a lot of things going back and forth. Luthen is basically Partagaz. You know, on the other side, there's so many different things going on, and everybody's compromised in some way, and something's going to break. And this whole Syntha thing this is going to change some things with how Luthen probably interacts with some things, and even him and Clea having their little fight. You know, with the listening device. Man, these 3 episodes were super intense.
Yeah. And it goes to show you that with a Star Wars show, you don't need lightsabers, force using to make a good show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, blasters, espionage, rebellion, real world issue. Like, and one of my tops is literally the show is not afraid to cover the heavy topics.
Yeah.
Like, think from season 1 on to now, the heavy topics that this show has covered. Season 1, the prison, suicide. It covered suicide. Now, most of these are with Bix, PTSD with Bix and the torture from Gorst.
Drug use.
Drug addiction with Bix and with Saw, essentially.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Rido's my sister. That's a good Saw. You're welcome.
Now we know why he has the breathing apparatus.
Right.
So it's definitely not oxygen. He's just getting high at all times.
Yeah.
Wow.
And sexual assault, attempted rape. Like, the show is dealing. Like, this should be a TVMA show.
It's pretty close to it.
Like,
if there was blood, it would be TVMA, but there is no blood.
And I do think this is going to open the door for a TVMA Star Wars show. It doesn't have to be the Last of Us, where we're dropping the F-bomb every other word and blood and gore. But you saw what Daredevil did.
Yeah.
It was perfect. You can, especially for all the things that the Empire does, you can go dark, and you need to go darker. This is not a kid's show. This is not your old Star Wars. Go darker. I want them to. I think this is the door that opened darker and a more harsh, more real Star Wars.
I was editing and on Saturday or something like that, and daughters were hovering around, and they wanted me to like explain the show, and I'm like, this is not a show. I said that I can explain. Like, this is some heavy topics, and it's probably something that you shouldn't watch right now. Like, watch it later. So what did I do? I put on Batman Begins. Let's watch that. It's less. I think it's less than Andor. How's that sound?
Yeah,
if you think about it, it's really not too bad. You just got to deal with all the fighting, but that's okay. She's like, I want to watch the. What did she say? She goes, can you rewind it? I want to see how his parents die. And I'm like, that's dark.
That's terrible.
I'm like, I'm not gonna. No, I'm actually not going to go back to that scene. But this show is not afraid to do it. This was, I would say, milder than the first 3. Not as mild, but like, they can talk about 500 people dying by speeder or a ship, but like, you fill that in with your fantasies of
Yeah.
your brain. But if you saw it, like, what if there was stock security footage of like Squish? Ooh, like, what if they showed that? That's unbelievable. Dames, what say you about any pop moments?
Yeah, well, for me, Bix's whole arc over these 3 episodes was just so well done. I mean, Mike, you already touched on like the PTSD, the drug use,
Mm-hmm.
and then basically Luthen telling her like, if you're a liability, like I have no problem getting rid of you, and it's just kind of crazy. But then her getting that moment of revenge on Gorst was just awesome. Like the second he walks
Oh
in,
yeah.
light goes on, you see Bix in the corner, you're like, yes. And the way her and Andor just walked away from that, like the cool explosion in the background, action scene was just cool. I mean, sometimes it's cheesy when you see it and it's cliche, but for them, it was awesome. And then I love this too. Whoever the random guard was that she blasted on her way out,
Oh,
he ate that fall so good. That was like, I don't.
Okay.
He was like
Yes.
trying real hard to.
That was a Dolph Ziggler sell.
oh
It
man.
was insane. I was
So, some things just to harp on. First time I was watching it, I don't know if I was paying attention, but I thought they went rogue to go get Gorst. Like, I thought that was a way for Andor to just kind of bury that.
right.
On second watch, it was Lonnie who feeds Luthen Gorst's location mission. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, I'm going to help you. And like Andor asked for help and Luthen delivered. Hey, listen, we got to take care of this guy. I know where he's going to be, right? At the same time, one of the big thing that Bix was all upset about was like Andor killing a random soldier. And he's like, what are you going on about? What's the big deal? Like, this is war. I know it doesn't look like war, but this is what happens. And then as a healing process for Bix, she takes out that guard without even knowing his name.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's a lot of a turnaround. Like what a complete turnaround. Which down in the prediction lands, I think we should talk more about Bix's path moving forward, because I see an upward arc, and it's looking up for Bix right now, which is really cool.
And yeah, I'm with you. I had to on the second watch, because I remember watching the first time. I'm like, how did they know like he was going to be there?
Totally
And
missed it. Totally missed it.
and then upon second watch, I'm like, oh, okay. And I actually like it better that like the lights are flashing again, and they see the lights, and then they don't show the meeting of
Yeah.
oh, we're
You
going
have
to go
to
get
infer
Gorst.
like
yeah.
that, and it took me exactly. I literally wrote on X was like, if you're not following the show, you're not paying attention, and that's fine. Maybe look up from your phone. That's it. I mean, you just got to pay attention to what's going on, and maybe a rewatch or 2 or 3 that you need to do, which is fine. This isn't. Did you touch the elevator button? No. Did you? Did you? Revenge of the Sith. Like this is like higher class writing than we're certainly used to. I don't want it to put off anybody, but like read a book, learn some new vocab. Like what do you got to do? I like Mon was on the back burner a little bit in these 3 episodes, but all of her scenes were super important.
Agreed.
It seems like this is the first time she's a senator. Are we picking up on that vibe? Like this is her inaugural senatorship. Like is that what I'm? I don't know the timing of it. I know some stuff about Star Wars, but it seems like this is a yearly thing where they like do this oath, and she would not say "I pledge allegiance." Right? She sat down during that and stormed off, which is like super rebellious. Obviously,
One might say rebellious.
I would say so. I did not see the ET clan though in the Senate chamber, which I'm very disappointed at. But that's okay. But yeah, everything like the little, hey, I need your votes and this and that, and talking to the different species and whatever, and like no one's on her side. Like she's not getting these votes. And she's
Everybody's afraid of Palpatine.
And did you notice? Right, she's trying to kill off the Pord, the PORD, that was enacted because of Aldhani 2 years later. Like which goes back to the ISB stuff of we cannot handle the amount of arrests that are coming in.
Yeah.
So it's all like every single scene makes sense when you start linking all this and just the way they shoot things and they go from scene to scene and
All
you
this stuff is too close to home right now.
That's
goodness
also true.
gracious me.
It's crazy.
Goodness
Yeah,
gracious
I'm right there
me.
with you though, Sean. I did it. We got a lot of Mon in the first 3, so for her to just have a montage, I thought was okay. For a bit.
Hey,
You son of a bitch! I wasn't ready for that. You
But I mean, I did like that how she's politicking with everyone. I thought the recasting of Bail Organa, I liked him.
fine. It's
No
fine.
problem at all.
Who cares?
oh,
It's good,
Ernesto
so,
de la
like-
Cruz, you mean?
Huh?
I think that's
Ernesto de
Benjamin
la Cruz.
Bratt.
Yeah, who played Ernesto de la Cruz in Coco?
That I did not know.
He-
The animated
Yes,
movie.
that is
Coco?
true. Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's not a live action one yet.
Yeah, is the key word.
Remember me. He sung "Remember Me," right?
Yes.
Yes, very good. That's true. Dude, that's a good one. Coco
And-
is a little underrated.
It is very underrated.
Yeah. Would I watch it
Would I
again? I would.
Coco.
I was fine with the recast. Who cares? They
Yeah.
should
So
have
am I.
if they recast Luke Skywalker and they make a friggin' show about him going through and finding holocrons around the galaxy, I'm gonna watch it.
Yep.
The world would cream their pants if Sebastian Stan played Luke
Just
Skywalker.
gonna say that.
Now, I do have to say the Luke Skywalker, who is at Galaxy's Edge, looks awful.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know if bad.
really bad.
You gotta catch a photo of him. It's not good. But I appreciate that they're realizing that Galaxy's Edge is a little too niche, and they need to widen that a little bit. But that's okay. The Tony Gilroy said that we needed to introduce Bale quickly in this episode to prepare the audience for the next trilogy, in which he will have a more prominent role.
Ooh.
That's what he said, paraphrasing, of course. And does he know Star Wars audience, or does he know the Star Wars audience? Because it's a good move. Like, hey, just to let you know, we had to recast him. Jimmy Smits was not available, which is fine. You know, they're close enough.
He's also old AF.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's good. And honestly, I believe they recasted Brea, right? And they recasted who else did they recast? You know what the worst recasting is? Speaking of Batman Begins, Rachel. Awful.
Yeah. Yep.
They're both terrible, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but one's better looking.
Fair.
It's also true. But that was right around the Tom Cruise Scientology stuff, right? I think
Correct.
that
Is correct.
I think that was why
Good
she disappeared.
linking for sure. All right. Anybody else have any top moments they want to talk about? I got one.
I got one more.
Okay, good.
I got one. Yeah.
Love
Two
for-
quick ones, basically.
Mine is the love for the side characters. I am loving Cyril's arc playing double agent right now.
Oh,
and
so
he is playing it well. I loved him in these 3
It's great.
episodes.
She's so good.
Also Clea. I loved Clea in these
She's
3
terrifying.
episodes.
Terrifying.
She is Howie Roseman. She is the Howie Roseman of the rebellion, and it's fantastic.
For those who don't know who Howie Roseman is, because you're a nerd, he is the Eagles general manager, who is a monster with behind the scenes things. He actually has his own radio listening device that he goes in with other GMs.
But like the whole scene with Clea, Lonnie, and the Codex, and she's keep directing him, now move right, smile, and she smiles with him and still trying to get this listening device out. Like, I felt like that scene, there was a little too much of like, all right, it's going a little too long with her trying to pull this device out.
I'd agree.
But you said it, she is terrifying, and hers and Cyril's arc in these 3 episodes just fantastic. Loved it.
Dames?
Yep, I'm right there with Cyril. And I just love the relationship with Dedra, and they had, 60 minutes, lights out, and sexy time, and all that good stuff.
You don't know that.
I
You don't
mean,
know that?
Cyril's got that BDE in this these 3 episodes. He is
but to me,
feeling himself.
Cyril reminds me of
Did he
Michael
wear
Scott,
the
and
hat?
Dedra is like Jan Levinson right now, with like who's kind of controlling the situation and like manipulating the other person. But just their relationship in general is just so fascinating to me because it's just such a
100%.
weird pairing. Such a
100%.
weird pairing. And then I love how Cyril's like, "Oh, this is the greatest day of my life. If I say that, will it ruin it?" After he's getting, praise and congratulations and stuff. He's just such a fun character.
Yeah.
I did not like him in season 1. He was very annoying, and he's so much fun in season 2.
Yeah.
Do we think Cyril is a rebel? But not in the way you think.
Well, I mean, I don't know. The lights were off. I'm not sure.
Dedra told him that he shouldn't go see his mother because they're too far into it for such a small thing to ruin something, and he did it anyway.
I think he was just in it for the cereal.
Yeah. Gotta have his blue milk and cereal.
No, I mean, I do think as he's
Everybody has a little rebellion in here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's very such a, may I say, a web of connections.
I think he's definitely growing in confidence, though, and
Yeah.
that comes with the territory. The
Yeah.
ability to say no to somebody, to not just comply all the time. So I mean, I think as he's getting deeper and deeper into this game, he's becoming more confident in himself and making those decisions for himself.
Yeah.
And just even in episodes 4, 5, and 6 compared to episodes 1, 2, and 3, you can tell there's a difference in him confidence wise and how he carries himself, how he feels. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit of rebel in him for sure.
100%, and we have a few chatters in there. Not that I'm not ignoring the chat, but we're pressed for time. You're making great points about the future of Cyril, which we can get into in prediction. So stay on that thought, bro. And thanks for being here, buddy. On first watch, I didn't really like Saul. I thought Forrest Whitaker, which I was hearing like high pitched voices from him, and for whatever reason, it was probably the Rido for me. The second time I watched it, all I wrote was Saul is a lunatic.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I was able to like read the closed captions and read what he's saying and get an idea of like his point of view. And like, dude, I had like a question like, is Wilmot a spy? And I realized Luthen sent him there, so obviously he can't be a spy. And like just him going, you're here right now. You don't have to worry about him. You're with us. Take it all in. Be in this moment. I was like, dude, I am pumped up right now for Saul. And I love that they just go to different stations and steal fuel and then boogie on out of there and do what they have to do to survive.
Revolution is not for the sane.
Right, it was my sister, and all that good stuff. It's unbelievable.
Breathe it in.
He did a bang up job. Love to see Forrest Whitaker. Could you imagine if they recast him? Anyway, who would play him? Who would play him? Kevin Hart. That would be awful. That would be the worst
terrible.
casting.
They could do
Could be Shaq.
Jeffrey. Oh, who's the guy?
Oh, Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright would be a good Saul.
For sure.
At least I could just see him getting into it based off of like his character in The Last of Us, which has been fun and scary and ruthless and
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Isaac.
who he was in
So I don't know
Westworld.
names, but I know characters for sure. He was in the game, by the way. He voice acted Isaac in the game. That's why they cast him, which is perfect.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, that's all I have for tops. I mean, there's so many tops, so many things to talk about. Looking forward to really getting into the scraps and and kind of picking this part. But listen, as you know, nothing gets by us. Nothing gets by us. No show is perfect. So now we got to get into the sad beeps.
I don't want to be alone. I want Mama Marva.
You went dark with me.
It's a dark show.
Mama Marva.
It's a dark show.
I am not coming with you.
I know. I know. Where is my guy? No, we don't know him. He's still on Mina Rao,
Yeah.
right, with Talia, having a good old time with the kiddos. B2 emo. All right, so it took me a while to like find things because I really thought everything about the 3 episodes was so good that, especially on first watch, I was like, I see nothing I don't like. Yeah, so I started getting nitpicky, right? Okay, I remember watching this on the first try, and I was like, not in love with what's happening here. The second wave of watching it, I was like, really don't like it. Bad move by the writers and directors to keep this in, but like Cyril, Dedra, and Partagaz are like powwowing. And Partagaz is like, basically, Cyril, you've done a really good job. And this is also after Cyril has gotten banged. So he says, is this the greatest day of my life? That's fine. Good. Love it. So Cyril. But then the weird Dedra line kills the scene completely. I'm just glad to see you're happy. Shut your face. Awful. Awful line. She should have just looked disgusted, and then they could have cut, and it would have been fine. But I did not like the Dedra line. I thought it was a terrible part of episode 5.
She kind of took a backseat in this trilogy too.
You're walking a narrow path, Dedra. Basically telling him that, by the way, you might like Cyril, but do you realize that there's a bigger goal here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so.
I mean, I got the feeling that she's just kind of using them, especially with that.
100%.
No, like she's just letting them bone to.
Well, I think
Because she
I
doesn't
think
want to
he's
go to
endearing
Gorman.
to her because he did save her life,
Agreed.
and he was not. It's kind of like it's like that classic weird high school romance where you just don't see it.
She's all that.
She definitely is all that for sure. She's pissed off at everybody about Axis, and Cyril is this weird escape for her. And I sell it. I think it's great. I'm on board. I just thought it was a weird line. Not a fan.
Do you think it was actually her when the lights went out, or is there like a doll? That's why it was pitch dark. Come on.
I turned the brightness up on my monitor. They were there. I checked. By the way, they hung onto that scene. That's one of the examples where the lights went off and like it should have cut, and it like 1,000, 2,000, 3 1. Like, what is going on here? Are they going to do anything? This is crazy. On the semicircle bed. Great. I mean, it's, again, one of those things where you're like, yeah, I believe that. You have an hour. And you had me followed. Cool. Love that. Love that for me. Love that for you. Number 2. Again, nitpicky. The second time I saw Mon's flapping gown walking into Skulden's opera house. Like, where does he live?
Yeah.
Does he live at the Golden Globes Academy of the Fine Arts world of Coruscant? I don't need that much flapping from Mon. You know what I mean? Like, we just need it for a moment.
Let her
But
flap.
like, it was
Let her
like
flap.
9.5 seconds of just flapping, and it was all. For me, I was like, this is one of those things where I'm like, we could have saved a few seconds.
The
Again,
Star Wars, what YouTube gave us an hour of Mon dancing, and you can't deal with 9 seconds of flapping.
Nope. Nothing gets by us on this show. Let me tell you, if I should have screen recorded it and played it right now, and you'd be on the same page as me, because I would force you to watch it.
You want to know why? Because that's a party, and Mon's going to get sloppy, and you know I'm into sloppy Mon.
That's fair. I don't think she gets sloppy at those things.
She doesn't,
I mean,
though.
I think she
That's-
does a good job.
That's fair.
I'm gonna save my howitzer for the last thing. So, Dames, do you have any bottoms? I know you talked about Cinta's death.
Yeah, that was really the only one I could come away with, just because.
He was
and I
unhappy
guess
with the decision.
Yeah. But at the same time, though, it also shows like the show will do that, and you can't just get comfortable with any of these characters. Obviously,
off.
we know that, but don't get comfortable with anybody because you don't know when someone's just going to be completely off. So I was bummed that she just came back and was killed, but at the same time too, it fits in with the theme of the show, and just that's how it is. It's not a happy-go-lucky show where all the characters make it out alive. So
We
that
all
was
agree that
because
the
I wanted
accident
to see
she's
more.
referring to is her crashing the speeder, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, everybody's in agreement with that. Women drivers, am I right? Just kidding. Settle down, everybody. She's like the best assassin ever. Just letting you know. All right. Anything else, Dave?
Nope, I'm good.
Mikey?
I feel like I had the same gripe back in the day when we talked about Ahsoka.
Ooh.
The show's called Andor.
Not a lot of Andor.
Not a lot of Andor. Or there's Andor, but not like productive Andor.
What would you call the show if it wasn't called Andor?
Rise of Rebellion or something along those lines. I don't know.
It's very interesting. Yeah. The Cause.
I like that.
It's kind of I don't know. It's there must have been a whiteboard, right, with show titles.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And they had to have gone through, and they stuck with Andor, but why? It's not really. I mean, again, this whole show is so intertwined that you could say that one informs Andor's decisions for another thing, and whatever. He's being cautious because he's being cautious about Bix. There's no caution here. He makes the call. The 2 days, Luthen was like, you were there for 5 hours. Why are you back? What are you doing?
But I think there's a couple lines and a couple things that set it up perfectly where I know he's going to be more involved later on.
Yeah.
Where he's right about Gorman. He's 100% right about Gorman. He feels it's going to be a setup. It's not worth it. They're too eager. They're not prepared, that kind of a thing. They know it's...
Yeah, and they're not getting away. Like, you got to live there.
And then the line that Luthen gives to him, I don't need you to be a warrior. I need you to be a leader.
Yep.
So I know, obviously, down the line, so maybe it is all kind of like just good writing that makes things like, why isn't he involved as much as he should be, but for a later date? Like tomorrow.
Yep.
Yeah, super interesting. So my final snafu is just an editing issue. So Andor, Varian Sky, it's like their final meeting, right? And he's having his little calf.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the guy's name. Who's the older gentleman? Gorman Front.
Caro?
Don't know.
Caro Rylance?
Sure. Rylands. Okay. And
I know Enza.
Yeah, right. Great line from him. Like, tell him I'm disappointed. Right? So, Andor's sipping his calf, and it's more than half full. And then he walks away, and then he turns, and he comes back, and then it cuts to Andor, like on the other side, and then it cuts back, and the coffee is gone. Who is editing this? Let me show you. It's awful. Look at this.
Oh, wow.
It's not even close, right? And it's like the biggest kind of editing snafu. It's, you're not going to catch everything. No one cares, by the way. But if I had to point out one thing that I found annoying was no one caught this. It's a plot hole. I agree. This show sucks. Look at this. We can't even get the coffee right. This is awful.
Did you put this on X yet?
I did. Well,
Okay.
no, I didn't do it because I didn't want to ruin the surprise for everybody. But this is what's going to get me verified, right here.
I am a big fan of and I feel like this is one of the shows where the continuation has been spot on.
Mm-hmm.
Tisk tisk.
This was glaring. It was glaring to a point where I was like, wait a second. And actually, there was a point where like Andor was up, and then he was down, and I'm like, ooh, come on, Diego, you're better than this. Instead of doing your Dorito commercials, what is he doing? What's this new commercial he's doing? Yeah, they'll fix it in the Andor special edition for sure. I agree. I don't really have any other bottoms. I didn't even have any bottoms to begin with, but I had to make stuff up. Can we move on to the scraps?
We can.
All right, here we go.
I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago from which there's only one conclusion. I'm damned for what I do.
I'm damned for finding all the weird things that this show has to offer. We find the scraps. We've talked a lot about the scraps kind of in our tops and a little bit of our bottoms. But like little things like Cyril using floss on his door, like he's James fucking Bond. What is he? I mean, I love it, but he's totally doing it on purpose, right? As his front. Like, is this his version of the ISB? Like, we're gonna kind of like twirl it around, and so we make sure and stuff like that. Love that. Did you see the pod racing? The little pod racing. There was 100% Sebulba Sounders in the pod racing, and the only reason why I picked up on it is because I threw on episode 1 the other day for the kids. 2 thumbs up by all kids. They were asking good questions, but stop talking to me. I'm watching a movie, right? But Sebulba Sounders was really cool. Let's see. Erskine is Mon's assistant. That's super interesting, right? We talked about how Erskine might play a role. It's sounding like he's going to play a role a little bit. And then we talked about Tarkin already. So the Tarkin thing comes from Legends, which was first established back in 1994. So the show writers like pulled that in, and I thought that was cool. Then they talked about like another thing that happened, the Carmine. This was when Krennic is involved, and like the Battle of Carmine. The Battle of Carmine was created for Andor. So like they're intermixing some new stuff with some old stuff, and I think that's a cool thing to do. Especially
that was a great back and forth between Mon and Krennic too.
Oh, Krennic. There was a scene with Krennic where he looked at Mon the entire time, didn't take his eyes off her, and I was like, that's got to be intentional, right? Like, you know, and you think Mon was coming on a little too strong?
And I don't know, but
it's weird, right?
I just love the whole like we were taught that it was this. Well, we were taught that it was this. Like you can literally see. Once again, too close to home with the climate now.
100%, man. 100%. Let's see. Speaking of that scene, how about the paparazzi droid? Is that the best thing you've ever seen?
We got DJ Roomba. We got paparazzi droid.
Oh my god.
Loving it.
There's a cool little line that I think it's Skulldin, and he's like, all right, you ready? He's fingering the Tinian book. And he says something like, to wonder at another world, as it cuts to Luthen and Mon, right? In the scene, right? And I'm like, this show is bananas with how many layers it has. And because they are wondering about another world, the wonder of another world, of not being oppressed by the galactic empire, right? And it's like, that is super deep, and I picked up on it, and I was like, that's good stuff.
And then that like 2-second shot right on the middle of the codex too.
100%.
It like held a little too long in the middle of the codex.
Indeed.
Damn you, directors.
Son of a bitch. Prep is useless if you can't follow orders. To you, Mike. What you got? What'd you notice?
You know what I noticed? I noticed there wasn't a lot of backlash when the first lesbian kiss in Star Wars was 2 attractive women.
Let's talk about this. Is it the first lesbian kiss?
Second.
It's the second one.
Oh!
Rise of Skywalker had it at the end.
Yep.
Forgot about that. Well, this was like that was like
passionate.
in the back. This was like,
super passionate.
This led to something.
Well, and this was front and center too, versus Rise of Skywalker, where it was just like tons of people celebrating
at
and
what we
just kind of
did.
happening.
Yeah,
what
like
we
let's put it in the background. This was like, no, this is plot point.
Yeah.
It was also one of my tops.
Who was on top?
I didn't, but seriously, like I didn't see one single thing of, unless it was some sort of like have like hardcore Catholic Twitter account. I didn't hear one thing about it.
This is a good observation by you, as if like this has now been normalized and no one cares, which is a good thing. You know, like,
I
matter.
will say this: I guarantee you, if it was two men, if it wasn't two attractive women, if it was two men, there would be an uproar. Not my Star Wars.
But would it pass because it's in France? Maybe. Maybe this means something else. I don't know. What'd you notice, Dame?
Wait, I have more notice.
I'm sorry. I was just jumping back and forth. I was coming back.
That was it. Just the two females kissing for Mike. That was the only noticement.
That's the only thing I noticed.
The brain was shut off after that.
Well, you rattled off all yours, Sean, so I thought I was going to rattle off all mine.
Yeah. Well, I have little thoughts, but they become big thoughts. Go ahead, there, Rattler. Rattle away. You rattlesnake.
I feel like very rarely they mention cities on planets.
Like Palmo?
Yeah. Like I know you have on you have like Mos Eisley, you have like those places, but I feel like very rarely they mention like specific cities on planets. It's always like they're going to
an
the
interesting
planet.
observation.
What else was there? Oh, this is for I just noticed this because of Philly. When Varian Sky, great porn name by the way. When he was getting his debriefing, they mentioned the Fashion District. Do any of my other Philly people know what the Fashion District is?
The gallery.
Yep.
I love it. Man, I forgot that there's this whole mission briefing that has to happen before he goes. And like he goes to strange place with Asian in bathrobe dating giant.
Yeah.
And he's got to learn his whole story. It like there's lies and then there's other lives. And he's, you got to turn into a completely different person. And that's a whole can of worms that I forgot about.
And my last little thing is just the Senate investiture.
Yeah.
Essentially the Met Gala, which coincidentally
is tonight.
Is tonight.
QB1's there. He's looking like $1 million.
Oh, JJ? Jalen's there? I didn't know that. Showing
so
off his new wifey?
Saquon, too.
No scheduling conflicts for Jalen Hurts tonight.
Yeah, not tonight.
All right, Dames, throw to you.
Alrighty. So just like Mike keeps saying, how the show kind of mirrors life, just how like Cyril's mom takes what she hears in the news as gospel.
Oh,
I think I have
Good morning,
family
Coruscant.
members that will see one thing on Instagram written by someone random, and it's gospel. It's exactly true, and all that stuff.
That's just emperor propaganda, right? Is that what he said, or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. I loved as a parent when Bix said the mission is dinner. I was like, yeah, I felt that. I felt that one. Sometimes that is a mission, and I don't ever recall people going grocery shopping in Star Wars.
I had that as a point of like, this was cool.
It was cool. Yeah. It was cool, and I definitely want to try Mosky peppers. They sound I'm like a big spice guy, so right up my alley there. What else? Dakar, obviously, where we had everything going on with my God, why am I drawing a blank right now?
Sequel trilogies.
Yes. So I that was kind of cool to see the bunkers and everything there and piece it together that Leia eventually makes that her base.
Back on site there? Or did they like use establishing shots from Rise and then kind of just filmed inside a garage?
Maybe.
That's an interesting question.
Maybe.
Work smarter, not harder.
And I agree.
Yep.
Same franchise, I hear.
Yeah. Let me see if I had anything else. And then just Cyril's tie is just, for me, I just love that. I love that it just is a little thing, like you said, was like a paper towel dispenser, basically.
So
Just how
the
it
more
comes out.
the more I think about it, do you think it's on the other side? It's like, when you're putting your baby seat in the car and they have that little, like, it's the strap, but then there's this part on the other end of the strap that keeps it from coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
That's definitely what that, like, I
He
need
just
that tire.
inserts it and just like
Yeah.
tucks it.
Yeah,
I think we could make that.
we can make that.
Wait a second.
I can't wait to see how many Cyril cosplays there will be at Celebration in 2 years.
What's
the
the best
screen accurate
Cyril?
tie.
All right, so we got Cyril, Corpo Cop. We have Cyril, Sad Boy on Bed. And then we have Cyril, the French Assassin.
Yeah, the beret. Oh my god.
But like, how many spiders do you carry? I don't want any more spiders. I actually live here.
Please, no more
By the
spiders.
way, this one has candy. There's not a shot I'm eating any hard candy out of a spider's butt.
It's
just-
the worst souvenir. Nope. Nope.
Think like a leader. The Gorman burning will burn very brightly.
Ooh,
Sometimes we
foreshadowing.
gotta sacrifice some things, and you're not thinking future. Very interesting. Will that come back when he's on Scarif? Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to see. Not sure what's going to happen next. Let it in. Let it run. Let it run wild.
We are the fuel.
That's right. That's freedom calling. I think, is Saul a right-wing radical? I don't know. Not sure. Not sure. Let's see. Yeah, I don't have anything else. The Onderon Jungle. If you were a Clone Wars person or even a Rebels person, you would know that Saul Guerrero was first introduced, right, in the animation and stuff like that. They are really getting good budget and value out of the costumes from Rogue One. Right? I mean, it's good. I mean,
Yep.
I don't really care. I don't make any money off of this, but like the big polar bear, doing good tubes. 2 tubes is doing a really good job. 2 tubes, 1 cup. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And speaking of cinema,
Yikes.
there's a lot of things. Whew. There is a lot of good things in this show. Final calls for the scraps, friends.
I'm good.
All right, cool.
Good.
We are hitting that hour mark, and let's get into our predictions.
Do you really think the rebels care about the lines we draw on maps? Systems either change or die.
Great line from season 1. Systems either change or die. So we have the ISB analysis. What can happen? I actually had more thoughts of what could happen next. I did not have any good thoughts last time. I believe that Bix is going to have a major role to play in 7 through 9. We can already see the arc of healing happening with her. Gorst going down is a great character development for her. Of course, she might even make it to episode 12, only to be knocked off right at the end, which propels him, Well, I'm wondering if maybe she gets knocked off a little earlier, and then he has time to heal and become the Andor in Rogue One, and all that good stuff. But yeah, Bix, I think we're going to get some major Bix action in the next 3 episodes for sure, and they're going to build up her character, and she's going to become this independent, like, I don't need to be watched. I can do things on my own. Maybe we get a solo Bix mission. I'd be interested in that. That was, and then in the final one, I was like, Bix arc is being built up for a big death. That's all I can kind of say about that. One thing I'm noticing, I guess I got to go back to this. I don't know why I put this in the thing. Anyway, I put this in the wrong category. Did you notice that their protocols require 2 people to know the same lie? So it feels like the truth. This goes on and on and on. Andor goes to Luthen, and he's like, "You brought that medallion. Remember I told you about that medallion? You said it was lost, and then you brought it here? That's what we're going with. Clea, we're going to be tested, so you better pay attention to the things about the Tinian, and, blah, 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 blah. All of these things have, it's like an alibi. It's like this alibi protocol where everybody has to be knowing what we're doing. That way, if I tell you something, you can answer for me, and it doesn't look like I'm just talking for you." Super interesting thing to notice. I'm wondering if that will get people into trouble, because they start breaking protocol, and all that good stuff. What about you, Mike? Do you have any predictions for the next 3 episodes?
Yes, I believe so. We're going to be a year later. I think Gorman's going to be in rough shape.
Oh, yeah.
I think Gorman is going to be in very rough shape where Empire essentially takes over. Because the last thing we see is, this heist happened, and we see it didn't really go the way that the Empire thought it was going to go, where nobody got hurt kind of a thing and didn't have to call in the cops kind of a thing. And I think it's just going to be like essentially an Imperial stronghold on them. I disagree with you with Bix. I think that Bix is going to little spiral out of control, I think.
Oh, go the other way.
Yeah, I think Bix
Like
is
she's
go
becoming
the
a
other way.
liability.
Yes, Bix, I think, is going to become a liability.
Oh, that would be tragic.
And it's going to be either Andor has to make a decision or watch another one of his friends, lovers die.
I won't be prepared for that.
I don't think it would happen in this next trilogy. Maybe like early in the last trilogy of episodes.
Yeah, kind of same thought. Like there's a couple episodes to resolve the major whatever that happened.
But especially with the Luthen thing that he said to her, where like it helps for a while, and then like I think
Need you healthy, Bix.
Yeah, I think she's going to become more dependent on it, and then it's going to be Andor goes once again dealing with heavy issues.
Yeah,
Andor goes out on a mission on his own, and Bix possibly that's what he comes back to is Bix in the safe house. Would not be a fan of that, but could see that happening.
What a prediction by the Scuttlebutt. Luthen will continue to exploit their relationship. Makes sense. Something happens. Not descriptive. Bad on you, Ro. And Cassian will kill Luthen as a result.
Ooh.
Boom, roasted.
Love it. That would be, well, I would hate it because I really like Luthen as a character. Obviously, he's not in Rogue One, so he has to die. But Cassian being the one to do it as a result of Luthen having to kill off Bix due to the compromising nature. Damn! This show. Anything else there, Mikey?
No, that'll be it.
Love it. Dames? Did Ro take yours? I'm sure he did.
So, I mean, you guys both have been touching on just the weird triangle with Luthen and Bix and Andor, and just how I think that's going to come to a head. I mean, like you said, like we know Bix isn't in Rogue One, Luthen's not in Rogue One. I do think Bix is going to come back to reality a bit better or a bit more in the next 3 episodes versus where she was. But I almost think she's going to get too like bloodthirsty to where she's becoming a liability from aggressiveness and recklessness, instead of, going downhill and, continuing to use the drugs. I know Luthen said like when you stop taking them, the nightmares just come right back.
Yeah.
So maybe she will keep going with that, or maybe she replaces that with killing now that she, got her revenge on Gorst. maybe that's a new high for her, a new addiction for her, and gets her, back in the saddle, and she just kind of goes off the rails. But I think something like that's going to happen. And, I didn't think she was going to make it through these 3. So I'm guessing at this point, she'll make it to 12 and we'll go from there. The other thing too, I think, is we're going to we kind of got breadcrumbs of it, slowly see Cyril climb up the ladder above Dedra, much to her chagrin. Because he's getting props. He's obviously smart. He's dedicated to the cause. And I just think it would be kind of a neat spin for their relationship if, she feels like she's the one in control this entire time.
You have to
and then the
report to
tables
me
are
now.
turned, and then boom,
Oh my God.
Cyril's on top.
As it should be. Anyway, wow. Really good predictions. Holy moly, mine feel awful.
I like how we have 3 different predictions for Bix.
I love it. I
But
think
that's
it's
how good the writing is with this show. All 3 of those are very viable
plausible.
possibilities.
100%.
Like it's all possible. So,
Wow.
and she could pull it off, whichever direction
Yeah.
they send her writing wise. Like, she's an incredible actress, and she'd be able to pull it off either way.
Not many times does this show give us like a cliffhangery detail. Did the blood fall? I tend to think yes, because physics.
Yeah.
And she was really struggling and shaking. And we didn't see it fall, but is that something that comes back? Like, that might be the end of Clea. Clea's
Not
done.
even just fall, like on the bottom of the codex.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a problem. That's a problem for Clea. She made a mistake. That's her first mistake she made, first and last mistake that she made. So Clea, I think, is going to be dunzo bunzo because of that little mistake. They're going to track it back. Why were you doing that? And there's no other person to tell the lie.
Right.
Right? And that protocol is going to be broken, and Luthen's going to have to cut her loose. Yeah, you can't work here anymore. Boom. And just like that, she turns into Princess Leia. Okay, so great prediction, boys. Love the ideas, love the sharing. Thank you for the chatters for putting in some of your thoughts. Let's throw in a vibe check to make sure we are on the same page. Eight seconds of Niamos is all you need, of course. Whew, vibes are super positive over here in the basement. I can't wait for Tuesday. There's so much good content on TV right now. Last of Us Sunday and or Tuesdays. That's it. There's nothing else.
Baseball,
NHL playoffs.
Yeah.
There's lots of good TV. Here's 2 shows.
Here's only 2 shows I watch. I hear The Pit's good. I haven't watched it, but I hear good things.
I've heard good things as well.
Batman Begins, of course. For me, it's a week. It's a 4 days, right? It's The Last of Us, which, by the way, I try to play the game to stay ahead of the show. I'm pissed off about that. I feel like I'm falling behind. After episode 4 was not like, well, it was a little boring, but that's okay. Different show for a different time. Vibes are good right now. I can't wait to see where everything goes. Love it.
I'm still on the team of this is probably the best Star Wars show that they've created.
This show is so good, no one cares about Tales of the Underworld that came out on May 4th. I have no interest in watching that show because Andor has consumed my life. No one cares.
And like I think this is the perfect way I would describe this is Star Wars for the Star Wars fan that grew up.
Woo!
Boom.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I mean, like, this is not even just a good Star Wars show. It's just a good show in general. Like, I think
really
you could
is.
show this to somebody who might just be like a casual sci-fi fan and be like, oh, you know what? This is really good. And then, the fact that it's going to lead right into Rogue One, and Diego Luna's been saying like when you finish watching Andor season 2 and you watch Rogue One, you're going to look at it in a completely different way, and I will, because they're fleshing out his character so well. There's so many layers to all these characters, and when you have like a character driven show like that, it's very easy to get into it and very easy to just enjoy it because the writing is just so well done, and they put such good care into everybody's character, whether you're on screen for a couple minutes or you're on screen the majority of the time. Like, it's just really well written. Definitely, I don't know where my rankings would be in terms of all Star Wars media, but Andor definitely has to be up there.
Yeah, the show certainly eclipses some of the most of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got a weird question for the class. We'll sort of, as we're running out of time, we'll end with this little nugget. With so much Star Wars content now available, are the movies required to enjoy the rest of it?
One question I was going to pose to you, and I think this is true about Andor, is that you could show this to someone who knows nothing about Star Wars, and I think they would enjoy this show.
There'd be questions, but that's okay.
There would be questions, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I showed Marissa an episode. I showed Marissa One Way Out. She loved it.
Yeah.
Didn't need to know anything about Star Wars. Just gave her a little bit of backstory about the prison.
What the hell is Gollum in this for?
She would have no idea who that is.
Why is Caesar in this movie?
Why is Ulysses Claw in this?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think the movies are anymore because I think they're going deeper cuts.
Yeah, supplementing as they would. They're just going to be GNC. There's just going to be vitamins. You don't need it anymore. There's not necessary to watch it. You watch A New Hope today and try to show a iPad kid, and they're going to be like, "What is this? This isn't Subway Surfer. I don't care." Although a Han Solo Chewbacca Subway Surfer would be a fun game.
Just the way we consume media now too, like getting, we're basically getting a movie every week, which is crazy. So for when we were growing up, like we had these on VHS, and if we're lucky, they re-released them in theaters. So like, it was just a little bit harder to get access, to take the time. Everything's just either in your pocket and you watch it. And for me, I think like the movies are just kind of supplemental now. I'll watch the original trilogy from time to time just because I've seen it so many times. It's just fun on in the background and just have background noise, or just, not have to be like super engaged with everything because I've seen it so much. But I mean, for the shows are just so well done, and you go into these different little pockets of this galaxy. Whereas before it was just really heavily focused on the Skywalker family and everything there. And this is related to it too, but the shows are just so much more well done. I just think it's a sign of the times too, with what they have access to and how they can distribute this. But yeah, like if someone asked me like about watching Star Wars shows versus movies, what should I go with? I might just tell them to start watching some shows and point them in the direction of Andor.
Yeah. Correct assessment.
Right after the Skeleton Crew.
Listen, Keller and Beck did a great job in Skeleton Crew, according to Gemini. Well, listen, everybody did.
Good job.
And we showed
Maximum initiative.
And we appreciate everybody for tuning in. And we can't wait to bring you more of Andor Season 2 next Monday, I think. It'll probably be Mondays. And we know that there is going to be
emotional damage.
But that's okay. Because Star Wars is growing up, baby, and you got to meet the moment. You've got to take in the ride-o. Give it to me, Mike.
What?
Exactly. Thank you. Boys and girls, it has been a pleasure giving you some of our Andor thoughts and machinations and scraps and all the good stuff. Mikey, appreciate you, buddy.
Always
Thanks
pleasure.
to the boys for enjoying the delay and making that all happen tonight. We appreciate that over here. Dames, thank you for using your laptop. Everyone appreciates that.
Yep.
And we'll-
It took me long. I've been making sure I don't turn it on, every 3 years when we decide to do this. So
Exactly. It has been quite a long time. But that's it for tonight. As always, make sure you follow the Red 5 Network. Make sure you follow Extra Star Wars. And Ro, hit the goddamn bell so you don't miss the first 35 minutes of the show. We'll see everybody next week. See you later.